waiting on YouTube. Okay, there we go. Okay. So let's go here. Go here. All right. We're all online. Excellent. And see if Rick's here yet. Still don't see Rick unless you're under Connie or Dan. So let me put on the intro this time and see if I'll reach out to Rick and see if I can find out what's going on. Let's get the show started. Let's see if Rick is here. Hang on 1 second. I'll try. Oh. All right, we got 49 people on the page. We got 7 in YouTube, 10 on the other Soulspeaks pages, and a few in the Zoom room. Welcome, everybody. We're going to talk to Rick Jewers as soon as he comes, as soon as he gets here. Let me see if I can track him down. He may be having some kind of a issue, but we can just kind of talk until then, if you guys want to. I've only got the ability to see the comments on my personal Facebook page. And in the Zoom room. So if you want to make comments on any of the shows, you have to be in the Zoom room. Excuse me, I just had some hot peppers. Or you have to come onto my personal page on Facebook, at least for now. I'm looking at being able to bring all of the comments onto one page and actually on the screen. So I don't know if, let's see, I don't know if Rick is having an issue, but we'll just keep talking. How about that? So we had a cool show today with Lori Payne. And I would highly recommend, if you didn't see it, you might want to watch it. Very down to earth, very straightforward. She carries a lot of the same characteristics that a lot of these women around the world carry, which is they've been doing this work for 10, 15, 20 plus years. And the real work, the work that doesn't get any credit, anchoring in sacred wisdom through the transformation of their own, as she put it, pain body. And also many of them have become practitioners. But basically just taking responsibility for everything and anything in our external shared experience. There is nothing that is not you. There's nothing that's not me. And for all of us, me included, who can get a little bit of righteousness running through our veins in terms of doing our work. I got to remember, as we all do, that to be too far to either extreme pulls me off the 0 point, pulls me off out of balance. And it's important that we remember too much light or too much darkness. It's all the same thing. Karen Norman says it was an amazing show, very enlightening. She's talking about the show we just had, which is what I was talking about. So let's see. Let's see now. Somebody I think is asking about the David Icke video, that one that got removed. You can go to Facebook, David Icke's Facebook page. He has it on there. And then I know that there's a couple other places you can go. I think that's what the question Morgan had was. But yeah, I watched pieces of it on David Icke's Facebook page. So he just downloaded it and uploaded it. Anybody seen or heard from Rick Jewers? He may not be. Hey, Dr. Joe, what's happening? Anyway, so what else is happening? I've been down. I was down Saturday. Cooley says it's on his website as well. And it's also on the London Live Facebook page. For some reason, Facebook didn't have a problem with it. So London Real Facebook page, David Icke Facebook page, David Icke's website. Yeah, I was down for, and the reason I'm telling you this is because I think it's relevant. I was down for about 3 days. Hello, Stellar. Good morning to you. I was physically, as I understand it, I was physically integrating, transforming, whatever you want to call it, specifically the masculine history. Basically, it wasn't even ancestral as I received it from my higher self or the universe. It was the historic path of the masculine, and how it's being ripped to shreds and being transformed, and no longer carries the weight that it did as this old, distorted, falsely empowered masculine energy becomes the new divine masculine frequency that is the true partner of that divine feminine that's been leading the way. You know, this isn't pie in the sky, new age stuff. Okay, Rick's coming on in a couple minutes, so this is the real deal. And you know, it's incumbent upon all of us to take responsibility for the only piece of real estate in the universe that we have any ownership of, and that's ourselves. And these things that are talked about on these shows and other shows like this that other people are putting out there, big props to those folks like Joe Delaney and Shanine Moulin. These things are coming to the surface now. These things that people told us we were crazy to even consider. You know, we've all been there. You know, my family told me I was crazy, that I was being visited by 6 biblical prophets and angels, and that I was nuts and it wasn't happening. I know many other people, when they woke up, had similar experiences and went through similar things, but now the tide is turning, and people that were opposed or antagonistic are starting to come to people like you and me and say, what the hell's going on? You know what I'm talking about? Yeah. Randy Schuett Jr., how are you? How's Liv? I don't know who Liv is. Not sure. Hey, Brett Ann Butters, old friend. Consciousness is property, the mind for sure. Ann is an old friend of mine. She was part of my early wake-up experience. She says, sounds like your RNA got an upgrade replicating in a new way. I think so. I'm not really sure, but it was a very painful process. I thought I was done the day before yesterday, and then it came back yesterday with the full moon. And it was, I was telling Morgan today, there's no way I could explain it or write it. I could probably, if I had the capability, graphically show it, what I was observing that was happening inside my body. But I know even not being able to do that, I know that that what was happening was I was doing my part for whatever reason. I'm on that team, the higher self put me there, whatever. to help the collective anchor it in. And so that's what I was doing. And it was pretty crazy. It's pretty radical. But all the wars, the competition, the comparisons, all the rivalries, all the stuff that men like me live and died with. I mean, you know, we ate it, we drank it, we breathed it. I mean, this was our life, you know. I'm an alpha male, you know, this is what we did. We competed, we beat people, we got beaten, you know, and it just never ended. And you know, I hit a point last night where I was just like, you know what, I've had enough. I'm done with this. So I went out back and I built a little fire under the full moon, and I stripped my clothes off and I put on some Mongolian throat music and put it in my ears, man, and I got down with the universe. Yeah. So I was releasing false power codes. That would be a way to put it. Thank you for helping me to explain that. Karen says she was purging and releasing a lot. She doesn't fully understand why, but I've been crying on and off last night and today. There's a lot of this going on. And this is the real work. The real work is this stuff that each and every one of us are doing. It's not the fear-based programming and savior-based programming that's being propagated all out through our realm. The real work and the real difference is made by us tuning in to our bodies, to our energy field, to our higher self, to our multidimensionality. I know that sounds a little bit complicated for some people that are just waking up, but it's not. It's not. Your body talks to you. Put anything before you and then feel into your body and what it's feeling. Ask yourself a question. Do I like so-and-so? Am I scared of this virus? You know, can I trust Q? You know, ask yourself any of those questions and feel your body, feel what your body does. That's one way to do it. There's many, many ways to do it. I'm not a practitioner, but I do talk to a lot of people, and I live with an incredible energy practitioner, and I talk to a lot of them, and I'm just kind of putting this all together. And so, you know, I see this, like the show that we just had, I see that as a very powerful thing, a very powerful testament to the human hybrid soul. The human is the hero. This is a person saying, I don't know everything. I'm 80% in doubt, and I've been doing this work for 18 years. Wow. What a humble, powerful statement that lady made. I think another example is the guy that's about to come on here in a couple of minutes, Rick Jewers. I mean, you can say what you want about Rick, but Rick walks the talk. You may not agree with everything he says. You may not agree with him. You may not like him, but he walks the talk. He's dedicated his life and all of his energy, all of his life force going into what he perceives to be the highest service to the collective. And I got to give him big props for that. Let's see. Stella says she's no longer eating anything but chicken, rice, and hummus. My body rejects all else. You know, that's been happening to me. I have noticed that certain things are getting really loud, and I won't get into specifics, but certain things are getting really loud right now. My body's telling me, you're not going to do that anymore. Don't do that. You're going to go into pain. I'm going to make your stomach hurt, or whatever the case is. And I'm going to listen, you know, I'm going to listen to it. But I think that's part of what's happening too. I think that it only makes sense because everything parallels. You know, as we expand in love, we expand in wisdom, in courage, in open-mindedness. I mean, everything kind of flows together. There's quite a few people here, Rick. So hurry up. We got 8 people in Zoom, 25 on YouTube, 26 on the Soulology group and page, and 85 on my page. So we got a good, healthy 130 people or so. And I just want to say too that we, you know, Morgan says he'll be here in just a moment. Okay, so that's okay. We got 88 on this page. Oh, he's back online. He must have got knocked off. Hello, my brother, Michael Abramson. Hello, Bella Improvisio. I'm trying to get her to come on. Met her through YouTube. If you guys haven't gotten over to our YouTube Soul One Studios channel, we would love it if you would. Rick will be here in a second. We would love it if you'd subscribe to us. We've had like 500 people join in 2 weeks. We never used YouTube a lot. We got about 4,500 subscribers now, and it's moving very fast. But you know, we've got to use whatever methods that are available to us until we can get to a point where we can have our own website and our own streaming service and all that stuff. Linda Hickton says she's eating small potatoes, green beans, and chicken. Yeah, I had a craving today for a hamburger. I don't normally eat that kind of stuff, but so then I told Morgan I'm going to go to the store and I'm going to get some hamburger meat. And she said, after what your body's been through for the last 3 days, you're going to go eat a dead animal? I'm like, oh my God, just the thought of it. So I changed my mind. Now I'm going to have a grilled cheese with tomato soup. Thank you for that compliment, Zena Kozar. So yeah, Rick will be here in a minute. He's, oh, there he is. All right, here we go. Let's rock and roll. Okay, Rick. Where did you go? Oh, you know what? He's got okay, so he dropped off. I'll just keep the improv comedy show going and do the best I can with it. Let's see now. So yeah, I saw some stuff I don't really want to get into today because he's going to pop back in. He was on and then he's off again. So yeah, yeah, we were doing these Soulspeaks news flashes and Soulspeaks news updates before I got sick, or not sick, but before I went into alignment. Oh, here we go. Rick, okay, he's just, you know what? He's got a slow signal, so he's going to come. Hang on. His window popped up, but he's not quite there. Rick, I'm going to make you a co-host and see if that'll trigger your video. Because I don't see your video option. Oh, it's coming. Unmute. Okay, so we got you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Todd.
You got no video? That's okay. Oh, here we go. Wait a minute. It's coming. It's coming. You probably don't get very good reception on the back of a camel.
Yeah, let me see. There we go. Ah, woo!
Oh, there you go, man.
Yeah, brother. Hey, there you are.
What's happening, man? I was just thinking today after the last show, and I was sitting here drinking some tea, and I was thinking, man, Rick and I have done a lot of shows together. We might have done more shows together than I've done with anybody. You know?
Oh, gee, I don't think, Todd, we never did that many, did we?
Oh, we did. We go back, I think we go back about 20, so this is 2020. Yeah, we go back to 2018, 2019. Now we're in 2020. I don't know. Okay. I figure we've probably done 20 shows, though.
Well, perhaps, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. So anyway, you're in Egypt. You've learned how to ride a camel. Among other things, I saw an incredible picture over there that you took. Actually, I put it up in the post announcement. What's been going on? Just give us a quick update of what's it been like over there.
Oh, in Egypt, actually, I'm very impressed here. The fear aspect for that corona was not here to the degree that you were seeing in other places, what I've been watching. You know, there is curfew in place from 8 o'clock in the night until in the morning. It's been extended, I believe, to the 23rd of April. But overall, what I'm experiencing here, it's nothing like some of the, like in the US and Europe, and where there's a lot of panic and fear. This area, here, I'm very impressed, Todd. Yes, with
Yeah.
what's occurring. Yeah.
And the people, now I guess the tourism stopped. Did it stop?
Oh
Or-
yeah, completely. Like with Sayed here, where I'm with. Yeah, he's an excellent tour guide, and a lot more. And yeah, it's just been shut down. And for what they are doing, there is more or less no income because they are self-employed. So
yeah,
makes it very difficult for a lot of the tourism industry here for the tour guides.
Mm.
However, today, the government here is beginning to set up, let's say, an emergency or fund or a sort of
yeah,
a subsidy. But Todd, it's very little, and um, they have to increase it. But overall, there are two perspectives with this. When this is all said and done, with this, if you will, like for the last couple of years, am I still okay?
yeah. You're good.
Yeah, for the last couple, took a world strike, we would do that, the people. But I mean, if you look at this, it's pretty similar to a world strike with everything
Yeah,
shut down, which forces the governments to comply with the freedom. Now, where the governments at this time are squeezed, and if they start putting money into keeping stock markets propped up and all of this, all of the businesses and all of the economy and the commercial parts, and if they leave people go hungry, this is a huge statement here at bringing the governments down further. So having said this, the government, it's checkmate with the governments, because the only thing that they're going to be able to do is they have to provide for their people. But
yeah,
during the course of providing for their people, when you look at the ridiculous world debt, or countries' debt, what it's going to do is add just a significant amount of money. But the thing is, where did this money come from?
yeah,
Well, it comes from a place to show you that they can print to infinity. They can print for emergency, but where they can print for emergency, they can print to wipe out all debt. And in reality, they can print to eternity. And therefore, there is no need for anyone upon this planet to be suffering and have lack of, when you can print money to eternity. So this is it. This is the crunch.
yeah.
Whatever occurs with it, however long it takes, the world has changed. It is not going back to the way it was.
No, no, it's not. And it's going to be interesting to see how it unfolds. But you're right about that. There's 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 just, no matter what strategies or objectives or plans are in place by whoever, whatever, and I'm sure there's more than one faction or whatever. The reality is we're getting, and you know this because you've been doing this for years, we're getting a tremendous amount of universal support. And part of that is from the development of our own multidimensionality and the expansion of our own field.
Exactly.
I ran into Henrietta the other day. She came on a special show with
Oh, beautiful.
yeah, and I picked up on you guys connected. You guys are doing some grid work or something.
Yeah, we've been together a few times. I will say very important work was done. I didn't publicize too much of that, but yes, very significant, divine, timely work. Yes, indeed.
Right on, right on. That's interesting that you guys. And I'm sure you've met some other people over there too.
Um, just a few. Please understand, for all the audience, again, the timing of being here in Egypt with the pyramids shut down, so that, let's say, there's little energy around there. And also look at the huge flood we had since I've been here. These things are very real. There's very serious, important divine work being done here at this time. And I'm told to stay here for a bit. And actually, going by the flights, we can't go out of here until at this time, the 1st of May. The airports are shut down. I still have I'm still in Giza. I've been here ever since I came to Egypt about a month ago. So I do have 2 more locations I need to go to here in Egypt, and then I need to go to Tibet, Nepal, and
Wow.
that is divinely given.
Wow. Very cool. So what's on your mind? I've been watching your post. You've been writing about it quite a few different things. I didn't know what you wanted to talk about. Anything specific?
Well, one thing I like to just go in generally is about the divine unions, Todd, and the huge significance of them at this time. And of course, when I speak of divine unions, also the twin flame is in there into that. So, what I wish to say, I'm not going to say much in this interview, but what I will say, in the upcoming weeks, I wish to and began to speak more on the actual creational aspect with this, and the full credibility and validation of what it's doing and what it's actually for. So,
Yeah.
having said that, again, I just wish to stress the importance and the significance of this at this time.
Yeah. Yeah. We've obviously been in contact with some other couples. We actually did 2 shows, Morgan and I, since the equinox, which we don't normally do that. But the information was so important, and part of that that came in, which she's since verified with another couple that we're in contact with. They went through very much the same thing. And I want to ask you about it. One of the things was that on the equinox, we received information that 144,000 had done enough work to reach a certain level. These were 72,000 couples, and that grid had been lit up, and that particular threshold or target had been achieved, and that basically, energetically speaking, that the third energy, the golden child, was conceived at that time to be birthed on or about the winter solstice.
Well, if I may at this point, Todd, anyone that watches the space weather channel there with the sun that I periodically put the link up, if they were to look a few days ago at the golden child, you would see it in the sunspot that is currently there. You would have saw the clear picture that was a clear depiction of the face with the golden halo crown type above the head. So that does validate the actuality of what did occur. And let us say at this time, to my knowledge, what I'm given, all of the substantial twin flames and original twin flame pairs are at least in physical contact. And
Yeah.
For the ancient knowledge, which was distributed to the surface there in a lot of the ancient teachings about the 13 original twin flame pairs and the monad and the splitting off from source, that is actually correct. And these 12 original pairs are incarnated on the surface at this time for this ascension, and they behold very important creational powers to ascertain the overall ascension and the boost into the 5D, the full transmutation. And they are very important. So they are here, they are in at least physical contact to what I'm given. And yes, it's been met, what you had said, and it's been met really in reality a while ago. And
Yeah.
it's just the more coming together and beginning to work, with these energies Morgan
Yeah.
are doing, and the other pairs. And yes, there is a process where each divinely guided. And when you're doing this, perhaps as both of you do, I haven't been following
Mhm.
to any degree, but the importance for the couples is to remain fully open. And when you're doing your co-creational work, you will receive telepathically information, or if you just need to do, let's say, if you need to place your hand somewhere to take in energy or whatever, what you do is you follow your body, because your body has the memory that you might do what you might think is a ridiculous thing, stick your arm up in the air for an example. But what I'm saying is everything is very important. And it's very important just to follow your body, let it do what
Yeah.
it wants, and also follow the guidance. But also, don't be apprehensive at all. You need to just let it flow. And that way, things for your process of developing your co-creational abilities on a much higher level, the more you just let it flow, go with it, don't push it, but please understand that each one of the couples, you are being guided from the etheric realm, from your higher selves as well. So one way you can look at it is that two of you, you and your partner are here in the physical, but also two of you, your higher selves or whatever, are up in the etherical that are guiding you through
Hmm.
this, because it needs to be manifested.
He'll come back. He might have dropped off. I can vouch. We can vouch for that. What he was talking about. Couple things. I think he's off, but a couple things.
Into, let's say, civility.
Yeah. You
Pardon?
you yeah you went off for a minute, but yeah, you're good. You're back. You're back. Can you hear me?
Where
Can
did
you
it
hear?
cut off at, Todd?
Oh no, you're good. You're good. I was yeah. I was just starting to go into it. So we can. Well, there are a couple things you brought up. One is a thing about how this information is being received. And I'm not. I don't know that this just applies to couples. So I have to think that it's just for me, from my perspective, it's the couples obviously have where two or more gather. I mean, you have a greater field. Let's put it that way. So I'm not trying to create any type of hierarchy or anything like that. But what I was going to say is, I love what you said about how the information comes in. I love that you said be open. Uh, this is something that we do every night and really every day is to be open. And you're right. Things come in all kinds of different ways. And to include last night, I just talked about this on the previous, as we were waiting for you. For 3 days, I've been releasing the false power of the masculine through my body. I was told you're going to do this for 3 days, and it has nothing to do with the lineage, ancestral lineage, or your own personal incarnations. It has to do with the historical journey that needs to be transformed. So last night, when the full moon came, I was moved to go outside, build a fire, take my clothes off, dance, chant. But one of the things that I did, and now that you've said this, I put my hands up in the air. And I'm standing there for 10 or 15 minutes, but I knew I needed to do that. That's not something I would normally do. So you're saying that you're validating that for me, you know? Another thing,
Exactly.
another thing that you said too, that really that we can vouch for here. And Morgan talked to this other couple, and they went through the same thing in this regard, and that was so much of the information that comes in simultaneously or as a result of an elevated connection in a sacred sexual intimate way, which you know and I know doesn't necessarily mean traditional sex, all right?
Exactly.
But 2 or 3 nights ago, 3 or 4 nights ago, we laid down and we started just to kiss. And we transcended immediately. For 20 minutes, there was no walls, no ceiling. There were all these colors and waves going everywhere. There was this incredible union. And it was, as she explained to me, and it made sense because I knew it, I just could never have explained it. We actually had an episode prior to that that kind of foreshadowed it, but it was the higher selves and the human selves integrated in intimacy. And to be honest with you, I think that had something to do with the physical transformation of these old false masculine power imprints within my own body as I worked on behalf of the collective to do my part to move it, right? So that, by the way, happened. That, by the way, that happened on April the 4th. That dimensional interlude with our higher selves, but that was physical proof of the physical and the non-physical integration, the 4 bodies coming together as one, and that to me was extremely, it was extremely encouraging, you know, and a high level of validation, but also kind of a window into where we're going, like our abilities. I mean, this is mind blowing.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, very little has been written on it, and most of it has been hidden, put away intentionally for these times. But it is very real. And what I can confirm with the masculine aspect, you know, what you said you were working on April the 4th, if you were to check with all of the other divine unions and also all of the other twin flame unions that are, let's say, harmonized to a high degree, you would find this similarity, that you would find all of the couples were working on the same areas, the same themes at the same time.
Yeah.
And also, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. And also the masculine aspect. I need to say this. You would not be at this level in a divine union if your inner work in that respect, let's take the masculine, was not done. You could not get to this level. So it needs to be understood by all in these unions that when you may refer to it as old programming coming up within yourself, that's not what's occurring. You are very powerful co-creators that are transmuting for the masses. So when you do, let's say when you're working on the old masculine imprint, it's not in you, but it comes up to be transmuted for the masses. You are the leaders in the consciousness that creates the templates and the new reality for it. So by the powerful divine unions doing that energy work consciously, unbeknownst to the masses, they began to change. The masculine lets go of the ego, goes more into the heart. You are now working at higher levels. Like before, you used to work on one and one. However, now where we have attained this level with the divine unions, you are now working on the much higher creational levels where you can be in your acts of intimacy and very powerfully affect the whole soul population upon the planet as well.
Yeah.
So I wish to say that if you find these things coming up within the feminine or the masculine and you've done your inner work, well, you had to do it to get to that level. Please understand that you're transmuting, Because if
Yeah.
you get lost in the thoughts that there is something wrong with you, it's going to stagnate your development and
Yeah.
also the overall ascension and what is actually occurring. Now, when the time comes, when we make the full actual merges in with everyone, it is divinely timed. This may create the huge solar flash or time higher than this reality. And having said that, you may just be right out of this reality here and in a different world, a different dimension. And that is very possible.
Yeah.
However, when that occurs, what is left behind here is the reset in reality for humanity to the 5D to assure that it is taken out of the slavery and the savagery of what was here. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. I was just saying that to Morgan a while ago, a couple hours ago. Um,
excellent.
well, about, we don't know. I mean, we could wake up tomorrow and, one of these interludes, we go, I mean, but obviously we're here. And I love what you said about the work, because regardless of what the topic is, we all know by now that the inner work is really the vehicle for expansion. It's our best friend,
You have to do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I want to validate what you said too, because we obviously haven't talked since this happened. I'm just telling you as we go, as we always do. And but this there, I spent 3 days basically on my back, and but I tuned in, and I was clearly told, A, this is going to last for 3 days. B, this is not personal. It's not ancestral. It is a collective thing. It is about the masculine for the collective. And I knew that. So what you're saying makes a lot of sense to me. I'm not saying that I knew I was clear, and I know I've got shadow, but I think what you're saying is enough had been done that I was able to step in as one of many, I'm sure, and transmute that old programming, because it's real. I mean, I think it's been a big frequency or an energy that has been front and center for the last week, maybe 10 days. I mean, it seems to me that that's been a very dominant energy, or visible energy, has been the wounded masculine. In fact, I want to say 2 weeks ago, Morgan looked at me and said, she got her stuff in, and she said, the masculine are about to go through something, and it's gonna be rough. And I said, well, I hope I've done enough work that I don't have to go through it. Of course, I did.
Well, yeah, mostly you're transmuting. The thing is, you don't keep going in loops once you've done the inner work and you have reconciled to the higher degrees what needs to be done in respect to perhaps the patriarch masculine traits. Then you've done it. We're not constantly here to keep working upon ourselves. That's not what this is about.
Yeah.
uh, once we get, it is a divine work to get up to the levels. But once we get there, it's not about uh, I and my partner, you and your partner. This is not a selfish thing.
No.
This is also about raising uh, the masses and the ascension. And that's what we have these creator abilities for. So by doing this, every time that we transmute, powerful, energetic couples can transmute for millions and,
Yeah.
perhaps even a billion. Once we do that, that raises the vibration very quickly in the masses. And again, the biggest hindrance with this ascension was the patriarch rule that was in
Yeah.
place here for the last couple thousand years, that actually had the feminine, much more powerful, because the ingrained and integrated unconditional love that is attached to the maternal instinct. that was actually robbed from the man.
Yeah.
And, you're told to be a man, and, you can't express your feelings and all of this. Well, the masculine was actually, if you wish to look at it on an energetic level, it's actually the masculine that was suppressed the most. This is why you have 75% of the divine feminine are leading the charge, that are the most powerful with this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this is what actually occurred. So in reality, the feminine, for the last couple thousand years was always the strongest in this, because the masculine was robbed from it, and they were actually targeted and suppressed the most.
Yeah.
However, so it's, and
Yeah.
that is the heavy lift, the masculine. But let me say that what I'm seeing out there is very impressive improvement on it, and that's what it's on to make this next huge shift.
Yeah.
Is to get rid of as much of that old macho patriarch ego, and everything that is contained within that patriarchal aspect. And that's what's being cured. And we're doing this at such a magnificent rate, that it's affecting everything upon the planet. But also in conjunction with that is everything is changing. The coronavirus, the governments, everything, it's rapid change. It's what we wanted. It's what's occurring. It is real.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think another thing too, that, everybody wants, pretty much anyone I've ever met, everybody wants that perfect partner. This isn't even a 5D thing. This is, whether it's programming or innate, I don't know. But of course, the term's been used, divine unions, twin flames, soulmates, whatever. And I think a lot of it's been distorted because of the attachment to that perfect relationship. What I'm trying to say is part of what you're talking about today, I don't think is talked about enough when it comes to these couples. I love my wife more than anything, like I love myself, But so to hear what I'm saying, these are not romantic relationships. They are, but that's not the crux of it. The crux of it is divine love with a divine purpose in this space and time. The romance cannot be measured from a human device or a human method. The romance is no more. The traditional 3D sex is no more. The reason that these things are being removed is because they dilute the potency of the energetic force of the connection that the relationship emanates. So I really love what you're saying, and I really love the emphasis that you put on the masculine, because I've lived it. I've lived it, and I've had a damn good partner, and she doesn't take any shit. All right. And I didn't understand everything in the beginning, but what I did understand was that I was slowly losing my masculinity as I went into the abyss. But I'm here to tell everyone, but just from my own testimony, that there is another side to it. I've seen it. I'm living it. It's happening. It's evolving. B, make no mistake, and I've talked to a lot of men about this, the old sex patterns are going to leave, and you might as well let them go now. And if you have to go celibate, if you have to go live in a cabin in the middle of somewhere till you get your stuff together, because I'm telling you, it won't work. And I know that's a hard pill to swallow, because that's, for a man, that was such a big part of our identity, to our credit and to our you know,
Exactly.
not so great. But anyway, so these are the things that I just wanted to emphasize with what you were saying. I'm really glad you let in like that, because they're not romantic in the traditional way that we know. They're beyond that.
Exactly.
You know,
Yeah.
they're just beyond that. And I think that's the attachment people have. I see so many people say, I want my partner. I want my partner. Well, that's where it starts. Let go, get back to the basics, work on yourself, raise your frequency, and you will pull that partner in. There's no doubt.
You will indeed, and thank you for going there where you went, Todd. And I know where you were hidden more deeper into it. And let me say, in a few weeks or so, uh, you know, we can get into, if even if we need to, you know, in a few weeks get in deeper here. But for the masculine, yeah, you just it's quite a ride. And when you do the energetics, as you're saying, the old sex is you don't need that. The lust part is what is occurring is that you need to let go of that old lust part, and it's got to be all of the love to activate the higher energetics.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not what you thought it was from the human perception. We are in much different times, and yes, the intimacy is not what you thought it could have been in this now. But I do need to say this, that in the futures, it will evolve into something much better than what you ever experienced or thought in the past with it. So, you know,
Yeah.
for the masculines, yeah, you just bear with it, trust, and keep going, and you will see the transformation within you as well. And you'll be very pleased with the results. So
Yes, you
just
will.
trust everything and keep going.
I've had some of that, so I can tell you that. But you know, and I guess, you know, I think, you know, we talk about these things in the human reality because we have so much of our human conscious in this. This is where we came from. But we got to remember too, back to what you were saying, back to what we're all doing, whether we're in a relationship now or not, and that is that the opportunity that these uh, connections, these relationships offer, is based on their their relationship with each other in terms of how they see that person, how they see themselves. And what I'm trying to say is that's like a template that then can be utilized everywhere else if you want to look at it that way. And what I'm trying to say is that it becomes a connection, a bond, a magnetization of equality. There is no 51-49, it's equality. And because
Exactly.
of our path, it takes a lot of conscious human effort and a lot of and absolutely 100% owning every single thing, no matter how it looks. Uh, those to me would be the two things to me that stand out the most in terms of like a day-to-day relationship, because you're talking about somebody who is like a brother sister, like a father mother, like a friend, old friend, new friend, parent child, I mean, and lover. You know, it's all this stuff in one. And those, I guess, are different initiations or different thresholds that these from what my experience has been anyway, that they'll experience. But the value again is not, again, not to be overemphasizing or getting too caught up in the sacred sex or the sex or the intimacy, but to understand that when these moments happen, like it happened to us on April the 4th, 20 minutes of incredible dimensional, multidimensional bliss, and these aren't even the right words, to where we had to stop. And there was no conventional petting, there was no stroking, it was just kissing. That was it. And so to your point, yeah, if that happens with just kissing, imagine what would happen down the road, you know. But the point is that encounter anchored in that energy, and with that energy comes code, sacred wisdom, enhanced skills and abilities, and you know how it works. I'm just trying to explain it with you to the people.
Yeah, yeah. So, with that, also what I suggest is in these relationships, you cannot let any stone go unturned with any question you may have, anything that everything has to come up.
Yeah.
And you speak and you communicate openly. Don't let things that may come up in your early parts of your relationships, don't conceal them. Be fully
No.
open. And this is very important
Yeah.
because the more open you are, little obstacles or hindrances, then they're reconciled and you advance to higher levels because it is a process with these relationships, these divine unions. And also, I wish to point out uh, that, as you're saying, just the kissing, just that contact will take you to the higher levels. Yes. And let me point out that you also, uh, depending on each couple's guidance, you should also be exploring the other meridians of the physics. Some of the ancient Chinese medicines mentions this, and it would be here with the crystalline meridians, because your bodies are also now, to be at this level, are in a very high state of the crystalline quality. You have transitioned so much with the physical vessel. And with these meridians, it's like they are switchboards and switches to new experiences as
Yeah.
well. And your multi-dimensional vessels. So it's good to do that. What I wish to say is that it's not only your two higher selves that are guiding and assisting in these unions, there is also, let's say, another divine complement that is also there guiding and instructing. And that is occurring. You don't have the full privacy divinely in these. And that is occurring because of the pertinence, the overall significance of what these divine unions are for upon Gaia at this time. And it's divinely assured because these are all connected directly into the overall divine plan. So
Yeah.
it is the master plan, and it's assured by higher levels that everything goes as it's supposed to go. Now, also with your in these unions, you will begin, it's already occurring, you'll experience the reversing age process. And I know many of you had introductions to this, but what happens is you begin to sustain the youthful appearance and also reverse it very rapidly. Before, when you only, let's say, you got glimpses of it, now you're able to sustain it also for higher times or for longer lengths of times. And this is because of the frequency that you create when you're in these unions and the vibration you're able to attain. Also, at these times with these divine unions, it's very important for each one to consciously get in touch with every cell in your body. And you can do that in literally seconds or moments, and advance your cells as well. But not only this, with your increased telepathy, what is occurring, because remember, in these full divine unions, you are actually two parts of the one soul, and you are now melding back together. And this means that you can communicate on every level, and also that the other partner can assist in healing. If any, I don't really like to use the word healing. I like to say advancing. If
Yeah.
there's anything that is preventing one partner to get up, you work on to it together. But the consciousness and the mentality of one assists the other.
Yeah.
You're working as a huge team back to the completeness, the full completeness. You are now in a great harmony. However, you are now bringing in more of your divine co-creational powers in the respect of the mother, father creators, because you have taken on a much higher level. You have attained more of a level than just manifesting little things. You are actually creating uh, timelines and even universes is
Yes,
what
sir.
you are doing with this. So
Yes,
it
sir.
is a very significant role. And let me just say, all of humanity, 5.5 billion, they do not recognize that these very few upon the planet, and there is very few divine unions that are working with this, are actually lifting billions, and the amount of these unions is perhaps at this time around 1,000 or so.
Mm.
So that's only 2,000 people are doing 2,000 incredible souls that are
Mhm.
very powerful co-creators that are designated to this certain divine task at this time, and it lifts everything. It is the ascension, and they are all here for a reason. These divine unions are for very important reasons, and and it is all very true. As you can attest, Todd, you know what
Mhm.
you and Morgan are being taught in it, and what you're learning for every level that we go higher, we learn something new, and it's happening exponentially and
Yeah,
very rapidly.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, I thought this was a good conversation too in that subject because it is work, but ascension's work.
It
It's
has
being,
been, yeah.
yeah, being responsible, being committed to growing up, growth, uh, and taking ownership and responsibility, and so the relationship is just taking that to the next level from my point of view, and nothing changes, and you still have to, it's such a gift and such a challenge at the same time because you own everything as yours. You no matter what happens, and when you're in a relationship and cohabitating, we come from a we all come from a conditioning that we're pointing the finger all the time. So I'm here to say that the work is rewarded, and it's all across the board. I mean, it's in every way you can imagine, and uh, I believe it's taken hold in this realm, and that energy is expanding, uh, and it's going to be interesting to see how it all rolls out. So you're
In
heading out
the
to,
blink,
huh? What?
yeah, in the blink of an eye, the full reward could be here. We're that close, Todd. Yeah, indeed.
Um,
Totally agree with it. We
yeah,
we didn't do all this for nothing.
no. Somebody asked a question before we head out of here. I just want to. She probably came in late. We covered this before. I know Morgan and I have covered this many times. How does this message apply to those who want this relationship but have not met their partner? Wendy Fluke, thank you. So it's the same ingredient for the individual. Work on yourself, clear yourself. You clear yourself, you bring yourself into further alignment, expansion, and you like begets like. And I guess the only other thing I would add to that would be that so many people have an attachment to it. You've got to get rid of the attachment because attachment is fear based. It's like projection
Exactly.
and judgment. Yeah.
You've got to free yourself to the fullest, keep your open mind to the fullest. Anything you were taught and learned, even in the spiritual community about twin flames, what have you,
Yeah.
truth is in constant change,
Yeah.
and it needs to be
Yeah.
because it leads you forward. And the higher dimensions, truth is not the same as it was in the lower dimensions and the past. So
Yeah.
that's important
Yeah.
to do that. But also for anyone watching this, uh, for the really, for even the reason that you're watching this, it means you are going forward, that you need this information, and it's divinely assured that you're here, and that for whatever value you take from this, it is, you are going to apply or use it or need it for some reason in the future. Everything happens for a reason.
Right on. Right on. Well, the last time we did a show, I said, this is the best show we've ever done. Now I got to say, this is the best one. That's the way it should work, though. Every time,
Well, exactly. We keep
Right?
going higher and
Yeah.
higher.
every day. Every day.
I truly feel, I truly feel, Todd, our next show is going to top this tenfold.
Yes, it is. Peace out, brother. Thank you for all the work you're doing. Thank you for all the work you're
Much
doing.
love.
All right.
Love
See you
and
later,
light.
man.
And thank both of you too.
Take care.
Peace out.